everybody listen to Ken Barton's words. Because if you're going to represent we the people, these atrocities and these abuses of powers are so widespread. And I'm more interested in this gathering, we the people, than this gathering. Because as a lifetime sportsman and conservation born in Detroit in 1948, we were the #1 conservation state in the nation. More family hours of recreation, more revenues generated, and more opportunities to optimize the wildlife biodiversity balance. Now, I want to set the table clear here today because there are some people in this room that are stupid enough to listen to the lying, anti-hunting media that have lied and falsely accused me of violations. I abide by the law. Before I go deer hunting, I buy a deer license. I examine where I can deer hunt with what weapon. My dad raised me in the discipline of conservation, marksmanship, safe gun handling, and the perfection of venison as the healthiest diet in the world. And now Michigan is now the laughing stock in the nation. As Representative Gordon explained, I can cry tears of blood up here. There's no place I go where families don't come up to me with horror stories of being given a ticket because he has a salt block on his farm. And they'll do it under the lie of chronic wasting disease that has been proven scientifically. This is not a guitar player's hunch. The science is in. People can't get chronic wasting disease from a deer. Look it up. I looked it up. I studied with Dr. James Kroll and Dr. Christopher Seabury. People can't get chronic wasting disease. And you can't mitigate it because it's the same scientific encephalopathy as scabies in sheep. And once it's in the soil, it's there forever. I have a Ted Nugent Camp for Kids charity for 36 years. And in case anybody questions my integrity, mothers and fathers and grandparents bring their children to my camp every year to be given a positive influence, to be clean and sober like I've been for 77 years, which assists me in forming syllables before you today. Because I was disciplined to be an asset to God's miraculous renewable creation that is the job, the responsibility, the moral duty of the Natural Resource Commission that they have violated, and the Department of Natural Resources that they have violated, where wildlife must be managed based on carrying capacity of the habitat, optimizing that habitat, not just for game species, but for songbirds and endangered species. The hunters and fishermen and trappers of this great state and nation are responsible for the healthiest wildlife populations since the 1700s. I hope you're registering this information, because when I've testified before, I've testified the irrefutable truth, logic, and common sense that if I move apples closer to my terminally ill young boy, because when boys and girls are about to die, for years they've asked to go hunting with Ted Nugent before they die. Is there a more powerful connection than that? There isn't. And according to the DNR and the NRC, those billions of apples falling from the trees in Michigan are somehow going to cause a disease if I move them. That's insanity. And the people who enforce it and create these policies would qualify as insane. And they've ran people out of this state. An 18-year-old boy who got into bow hunting because of my TV show got a ticket because his bow case wasn't zipped up. There's a law in Michigan that wildlife policy has to be based on science. What's the science of a bow case? So I got rid of that law. When I started hunting, some man thought he had control whether I hunted out of a tree or not. Is that man in attendance here that has control over my tree climbing? No man has control over my tree climbing. There were 11 counties that it was forbidden to hunt on Sunday. Who is the man that can intervene between God's nature and my recreational, sporting, spirit connection to the good earth that can tell me that somehow mysteriously the hunting season ends when the sun goes down on Saturday? That's insane. So we got rid of that law. I beg you, on behalf of the people that come up to me every day, get rid of these insane violations of Prop G that says the game laws have to be based on science. And then the DNR sued me, and it said in the suit, this is funny. This is funny. They claim I had feral Russian boar. Well, for all of you who went to school in America, feral is an escaped domestic animal. My pigs were on the preserve. They hadn't escaped. So I'm being sued for something that doesn't exist. And Russian boar, there's no such species as a Russian boar. A Russian boar can only be a male pig that lives in Russia. It's not a species. I asked them, would you sue me for having pterodactyls? Because I have as many pterodactyls as I have feral Russian boar. And after tens of thousands of wasted hard-earned dollars, some judge finally went, yeah, I guess they're not feral and they're not Russian and some of them are females. I hope this pisses you off because everybody that comes up to me is just livid. The DNR and the NRC have chased families out of the sport over absolutely insane anti-nature, anti-science regulations. The sandhill crane is a federal migratory game bird. It's known as a ribeye in the sky. But the NRC and DNR are so immoral that they say with a piece of paper you can shoot. They're so overpopulated, instead of opening the season like they do on game animals, federal migratory game, they allow you to shoot them but forbid you to consume them. That's immoral. Every other state has laws against wanton waste. Thanks to the NRC and the DNR, we are by law mandated to waste ribeyes in the sky. Right now, the wolf is in the liability column because of the NRC and the DNR. The black bear is in the liability column, grossly underutilized. Sandhill cranes, liability column. Mourning doves, the #1 game bird in the world, people. And Michigan calls it a songbird. I ask you, do you have a shotgun shell box with a picture of a cardinal on it? You don't. But I have cases of shotgun shells that have pictures of doves on it. You can vote it to be a songbird. You can vote me to be a songbird, but I'll never be a songbird. You can't vote a game animal to be a songbird, but they did it. That's immoral. I beg of you, go back to sound science and put these magnificent creatures in the asset column, like moral, conscientious conservation people. The DNR and the NRC are the enemies of conservation in Michigan. I implore you, in the once great state of Michigan, the once #1 hunting state in the nation, let's return it to that responsible conservation, wise use ethic. Because right now, we are going down the toilet of abuse of power and violations of science. Thank you for hearing me today, but I'm trying to convey the passion and the anger that I am subjected to everywhere I go because they know I've got a big mouth, which is what the Founding Fathers wanted all of us to do, by the way. Question authority, stand up for God, family, country, God's miraculous creation, and be stewardships of these precious resources. That's what I am. And the people against me are against those perfect conservation ethics. Thank you for hearing me today. I hope you respond. None of this was opinion. I have not expressed one opinion. I'd be glad to. Venison is delicious. No, that's not an opinion. This is science from a man who's lived 77 years with wildlife, and it's brought me quality of life and the discipline to avoid the insanity of the drugs and the alcohol and the tobacco nonsense of my so-called peer pressure. I don't have any peers, and the only person who can pressure me is Mrs. Nugent. Thank you for hearing me. I hope the truth, logic, and common sense of my testimony resonates and is responded to with a sense of decency for the very financial foundation of conservation and wildlife reverence in the great state of Michigan. Thank you very much.